Okay, so this is part 2. We have the other 2 dogs. They're all Doodles. And we have Scout, and who's the other dog?
Huck.
Huck. And so they're also excitable. Scout likes to jump, so the video above will help with that. But this is just another technique that I like to do to help dogs calm themselves down. What I'm doing is basically just not engaging. We're using this little partition here, which the dogs know to stay away from. And so they've calmed themselves down. If we let them just tear up here, they're gonna be really crazy. And you can use the same technique at the door. However, when you have 3 dogs or more than 1 dog, it cascades from one to the next. So when they're nice and calm, which they appear to be, I start reaching for the process to remove this. They get excited, so I stop the process. So again, it's the same sort of technique that we use there. We're not using a leash here, we're using the access point. The problem with this technique, it's a nice day today, it's Nebraska, it's January. So it's not gonna be too warm outside for too much longer, so you're not gonna wanna have a guest out there. We have this artificial, hurry up, let's get the guest in real quick because it's cold, we wanna be a good host. Well, then the dog's like, yeah, come on in. And they're all excited and we're rewarding and validating that excitement. So now we have some pretty calm energy. And a little bit of a spike, but fairly calm. And whoever this is, who's got the spot on his back?
Scout.
That's Scout. So Scout was kind of down the landing, so I was waiting. Scout. I didn't want Scout to run up the landing and run out, so now Scout is right here. As you can see, we've achieved a much calmer state. Now, this is also a little bit different. She's right now, Scout is on top of the guardian. We'll talk about that on camera. But basically, and your notes, sit. I definitely will reward the sit. Jump is not something I'm rewarding. This is a good illustration for it as well. Goose? Is this Goose or is that Huck? This is Huck?
Goose.
That's Goose. Okay. So what I'm doing, I start reaching south. The dog started reaching up. Yes, you have a toy. Yes. So what I do is I reach for the dog, and the dog starts getting excited or starts to jump, then I pull back. It's again the same technique. So what we're saying is when you're calm, I start the process, but as soon as you get excited, I lose interest. And so again, this is another one that you could use this doorway. You can also use the same process of letting them out the kennel. So what I do for the kennel is I walk in. Actually, let's just show this as well. We'll do it all. I normally do 1 video, but we're already doing a second one, so you can stand over here. Whose kennel is this?
Anybody's.
Whoever that is, that'll work. So what you do is when you come home, you go to open up the kennel, it's like a mini Tasmanian devil waiting to explode. This kennel is bent, you can't see it, so I know that there's a lot of that going on. So if I open the door and let that dog out, that's engaging. The dog is now gonna go crazy and you have this symphony of craziness. So what you do is I come over here and I start reaching for it, the dog gets excited. Well, actually what I normally do when I come over here is I just stand here and wait. I'm waiting for the dog to sit down. Now the dog is already sitting down now. But normally the dog's be standing because it's all excited and ready to go and he just went in there, so this is a little bit different. So as soon as he calms down, I start reaching, he wiggles, I pull back. I wait for him to calm down again and sit, and I don't tell the dog to sit. As soon as he's calm, I reach again, and I'm not planning on opening it. We plan on just doing the whole kit and caboodle all at once. So what I'm doing is I'm jiggling it, jiggle it open, close it, and pull my arm back, and repeat the steps that precede letting the dog out without letting the dog out. The dog's like, oh, is this a drill? I mean, you pretend to open this like 8 times. Are you gonna open it or what? And eventually, we open the door, and the dog is sitting and it has calmed itself down in the kennel because it doesn't have any other choice. But we're not saying, stop it, calm down. All that is micromanagement. So we're just waiting. So the first step when you come up here, and we have 2 dogs that are kenneled from what I'm seeing, unless I'm not seeing the 3rd kennel. So I would come to whoever is the calmer dog first. What I would probably do if they're both here, I'd just stand right here in between. And whoever gets calm first, I start reaching, stepping in that direction. That dog gets excited, I might step back. Or if it's just a little bit excitement, I might just come over here and just stand in front of this one with the door closed, waiting for the dog to sit. And as soon as the dog sits, that's when I start. And as soon as I start to do that, the dog's gonna get up, so pull back. So you should expect doing this like 5 or 10 or 15 times at first. Eventually, you'll come over here and stand right there, and both dogs will sit down, because like sitting down is what causes the door to open. So as soon as it sits, then I reach for it, and I pull back, reach for it. Do that a couple times, then I'm reaching for it and jiggling it, pulling my hand back. I'm not opening it, I'm just recreating the sounds that are preceding. We call that a trigger. Then eventually I can open it, I might open it a little bit and close it again. And I want to keep on doing this and gradually opening a little bit more, and I reset my hand each time to the back until eventually I can open it like this, and the dog's like, can I come out? And if it comes out, that's okay at first. And after a while, you might ask the dog to wait a little bit longer in there. And the way I do that is the dog starts to get up out of a sit. I would step right back here. Instead of closing the door, I would just step and block my legs. When the dog sits, I take a step backwards. He gets up, I take a step back, forward. So it'll feel like a waltz back and forth. But eventually, you'll take that step back and the dog will stay seated. Then count to 1 and say, come. The next time you maybe count to 2 and come. Eventually, you can get to the point where you come home and open both kennel doors and walk over to the kitchen, make yourself a sandwich, and the dog's just waiting in the kennel to be released. If you want to give them separate release words, instead of saying come, when the dog comes out, or when I open the door, I maybe toss a treat where that tennis ball is, and maybe I say freedom for this dog and release for that dog's kennel. So then I could eventually come and open up both doors, go make myself a sandwich and say release, and just this dog comes out. And then I say freedom or parole or whatever your command word is. I like using fun command words. Then the other dog comes out. So now you can release them independently, and staying inside the kennel is doing what my humans ask me to do. And aren't I doing a good job? I'm not coming out of the kennel. And it seems really weird for us to actually think about that, but we have to help dogs practice everything we want them to do. Well, I don't know who these are. We have Scout, Huck, and Goose. And these are some tips and tricks you can use on how you can help your dog learn to calm itself down, letting it through a gate or out of the kennel.